Yeah, hi, Trish. Any messages? Okay, thanks. Listen, would you hold all calls? That's right, for both of us. Thanks.
What are we gonna do?
God, I don't know.
Dr. Hayes didn't leave many options.
No, there's only one that I can tell.
Ironic, isn't it? That someone who suffered child abuse is told to go back and confront the parent who abused them. What kind of therapy is that?
Well, I can understand that.
Explain it to me, because I can't.
Well, it's like the doctor said. A child who's abused grows into an adult that has all of his anger and just holds it all inside.
I know that, Margo, but there are so many different ways of getting rid of anger.
No, not this kind of anger. Not the anger of a man who was denied his childhood. God, Felicia, I can just understand it all now. The moods, the terrible, terrible dark moods. You know, I can never understand why Jake wasn't a happy little kid. Why he wasn't like all of his friends, like my friends. Boy, he must feel so much anger now that he understands all of it.
Can you ever understand being sexually abused by your father? Really? I mean, can a person ever get over that?
I don't know. I can't imagine it. But the doctor says that if he confronts the person who did it to him.
Jake will never do that.
I know that's our problem.
I'm not sure I want him to do it. I think he'd kill your father if he ever saw him again.
Felicia, then what are you suggesting? That he stays the way he is? You know, tell me something. Your relationship with Jake, is it a fulfilling one?
No. It's empty. Your brother cannot truly love in every sense. But do you think he'll ever go see your father? That's the question. I mean, is there a possibility that he'll ever do that?
I let myself in.
Why? Why? What are you doing here?
I did your laundry.
Oh. Thank you. Where is it?
Over there.
Due to illness, the role of Taylor Hayes will be played by Sherilyn Walter.
Yes? Really? Well, have him come right in, thanks. Mr. Forrester, come in, please.
Thank you. I checked with your receptionist. She said you have some time free.
Yes, I do.
I'll just take a couple of minutes.
I'm very curious.
Well, actually, I came here to tell you a couple of things. First of all, I want to express my personal gratitude for everything you did for Caroline and for the family.
You're very welcome. I've never worked with a woman like Caroline before, nor with a family quite like the Forresters.
No. Well, I suppose we are a fairly unique group of folks.
That is an understatement, if ever I've heard one. But you said that you wanted to see me about something else?
Yes, actually, I do. I want to talk to you about my son, about Ridge.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for asking me. I assume that you've asked me here so that you can tell me that you've canceled the wedding.
You wanted to talk to me about Ridge.
Yes, you've been spending some time together.
We have?
It's helped. It's helped him a great deal.
Helped him.
Yes, to get over the loss of his wife. That's another reason I wanted to see you. I wanted to thank you for that as well.
Well, he's a very resilient person, Mr. Forrester. As much as he loved his wife, and he loved her enormously, he's learning to suffer a loss and grieve and get on with his life, which is what Caroline would have wanted for him.
Yes, of course, but you mustn't underplay your role in that process. It's been very important to him.
May I ask you a question?
Yes?
Now that my professional support is no longer needed, how would you feel about my continuing to see Ridge?
Well, I'd welcome it. It seems to me that you and Ridge are particularly well suited.
Well, we do enjoy each other. I'm hesitant to say this, but Mrs. Forrester doesn't seem to share your sentiments.
No, she doesn't, and that's because of Brooke Logan, of course.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have brought that up.
No, that's all right, Taylor. Look, we're all very much aware of the fact that Caroline attempted some matchmaking before she left us. She did that for Ridge out of love and concern, and much has been made of it. Too much, as far as I'm concerned, especially by my estranged wife. Now, I don't think Caroline would have done any of that had she known the kind of support Ridge was going to be getting from you. I'm sure of that.
I tend to agree.
You do? Good. Then why don't we lay all that to rest? I think Caroline would want that as well. Well, look, I mustn't take up any more of your time. Once again, Dr. Hayes, I thank you for everything.
Thank you very much, Mr. Forrester. I needed to hear some of those things.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Tricia, I thought I said no calls. My mother? No, I'll take it. Hello?
Oh, Margo. Hello, honey. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
No, I'm not doing so great.
You're not sick, are you?
Oh, no, nothing like that.
Well, what is it?
Your father and I have been sitting here talking. We've been talking about your brother.
What about Jake?
He kind of feels... We kind of feel that it's time we faced up to a few things.
I don't understand, Mom.
Jake is gone, and he's not going to come back. I've been holding out for too many years, and your father has convinced me that it's time we do something.
Like what?
I've talked to Father Jensen. We're going to have a mass, a memorial mass, like a funeral.
You're going to have a funeral for Jake?
Yes, Margo, and we'd really like you to be here. Can you make it? It's real important to us.
When are you going to do this?
As soon as possible.
Okay, well, listen, don't do it yet, all right? I'll be there in a couple of days.
We'll wait for you, don't worry. Would you like to talk to your father?
No, I'm sorry, I can't. I'm busy. Bye-bye.
Funeral?
They're having a funeral for Jake? Margo, we've got to do something. We've got to tell him.
You packed all my stuff.
Yes,
Why?
we're leaving. You and me. Today.
I assume that's why you've asked me here, to tell me that you've canceled the wedding.
No, Mrs. Forrester, it isn't.
Well, then I don't imagine that you and I have anything to discuss.
Mrs. Forrester, I cannot believe that your family dislikes me as much as you seem to portray.
I think you've missed the point entirely, Miss Alexander. This isn't personal.
I was just with your son, Ridge, and he said the same thing.
Making the rounds?
Shuttle diplomacy.
I'm sure if I was given the opportunity to get to know you better, I would like you, Miss Alexander. You have just the kind of energy and kind of spunk that I admire in people, especially in women.
Well, you and I are not all that different.
I wouldn't go quite that far. Let me give you some advice, some friendly advice. And again, please don't take it personally.
It's usually a foreboding sign.
I'm not going to get into a discussion with you about your mother. You know exactly what I think of your mother and Mr. Garrison. You, on the other hand, appear to be a very lovely young woman. The kind of woman that any mother would be very happy to have her son involved with. Any mother but this one. If you marry my son, I think it would be disastrous. Because he would end up being torn between his love for you and his love for the family. And the family business. Which I think he cares about much more than you realize.
I do know how much Forrester Creations means to Thorne.
No, you don't. Because if you did, you wouldn't ask him to do this. You wouldn't ask him to marry you. It will only end up disastrously. I know that as surely as I know I am standing in this spot, and as surely as I know how much I love my children. I cannot, therefore, support this marriage.
Tell him. What are we supposed to tell him?
We go over to Jake's, we sit him down, and we tell him what we did.
Are you prepared to do that?
What's the alternative?
There isn't any.
There's got to be a way of doing this without revealing that I know about him and your dad.
Well, that's going to be difficult.
But not impossible. Look, we don't have to tell him that we talked to Taylor. We can just mention that your mother called and is planning to symbolically bury him and that he's got to get in touch with her.
Felicia, you're just not being realistic. It's just not practical to think that we can talk to my brother about this without getting into the issue of him being abused by my dad. And besides that, I agree with Taylor. He needs to be told, and he needs to confront my father.
So my girl, she's coming home for the service?
Yes, Ben, she'll be here.
What's the matter? You seem troubled by something.
It's Margo, her voice, her attitude. She seemed bothered, not herself.
This isn't the happiest news you're calling to tell her.
I know, but when I asked her if she wanted to talk to you, she said no, she was busy.
She did?
I don't understand. You're usually the first person she wants to talk to. Well, maybe she was really busy. I'll go get dinner.
So you're saying that you don't dislike me, but that you cannot support this marriage even though Thorne is in love with me.
And you know exactly why.
Yes, you've made that very clear.
But let me ask you this. Could you like me as a person if I did what I have to do and marry Thorne anyway?
Make absolutely no mistake about this. I will fight you every step of the way.
But you won't hate me.
Well, now you take advantage of my good nature.
Mrs. Forster, do you remember when you married your husband?
I don't think that the situations are comparable.
Only that you loved him the same way that I love Thorne. Now, there is no way that your family's objections are going to prevent Thorne and me from fulfilling our love. Now, surely you, of all people, must know that.
You know, this just doesn't work with me. You know what I see happening? Thorne will either leave you or he'll leave Forrester Creations because of you. And if that happens, he'll end up hating you. If you know him as well as you claim to, then surely you must see this.
All I see is the man that I want to spend the rest of my life with. That's what I see. Not business decisions or conflicts. I see Thorne and me and our children together and happy. And that isn't a threat, Mrs. Forrester. That is just the way that it is going to be.
You are one crazy lady. You know that, Donna?
To want to spend time with you? Yeah, that is pretty crazy, isn't it?
You don't know the half.
And I'm the only friend you've got who doesn't press you to tell me all of it. That's got to count for something, doesn't it?
Of course it does.
Then why do you keep resisting me?
I told you. I want you falling in love with me.
I am not in love with you.
Good.
I'm just tired of it here, Jake. Almost as tired as you are. Ready to start over someplace new.
Well, who said I'm tired of LA?
How could you like it here? What's this place hold for you?
For that matter, what does any place hold for me?
We're good together, Jake. We spark. We have fun. We could have a good life someplace else. As friends, not as lovers.
It's friends, huh?
Why do you keep putting me off? I'm not going to be any trouble. And why wouldn't you take me, Jake? Just tell me, why wouldn't you?
Who said I'm not going to?
I love your brother, and I want to do what's best for him. But God, I don't want to lose him.
You may have to take that chance.
It's not a chance, Margo. It's a certainty. If he finds out that I know he was sexually abused by his father, that's it. He'll pull away. And it'll be over for us.
Maybe you're underestimating him.
I wonder if you can underestimate someone who's been through what Jake's been through.
Look, I've got to go over there. And I've got to tell him about Taylor. Now, do you want to be a part of that? Or don't you?
I want to do what's best for him. I'll go with you.
Good. I'm going to call him first.
You just said
I know what I just said.
you're taking me with you?
Roommates, right?
Roommates.
Okay. Let's go get your things and get out of this town.
I've already packed. My stuff's in the car. I left Storm a note.
Well, let's go.
Just let it ring. Don't answer it, Jake.